Intel and NVIDIA, rivals for decades. One ruled the CPU world, the other conquered GPUs. They were never supposed to be on the same team.
Alright, you gotta hear this. Something just happened that sent a massive shockwave through the entire tech world. But now, boom! NVIDIA just dropped $5 billion into Intel. Overnight, Intel stock soared, its best day since 1987. This isn't a handshake, it's a seismic shift. We're talking about two absolute titans of computing burying the hatchet after decades of rivalry. Intel for CPUs, NVIDIA for GPUs. So seeing them team up, this is a seismic shift. This is way more than a handshake. NVIDIA is putting serious skin in the game. $5 billion. And the market went wild. Intel stock shot up 33% in a day. Its best day since 1987.
One has scale, the other has AI power. Together, they could reshape everything from data centers to your laptop. But is this the future or a dangerous gamble?
All right, you gotta hear this. Something just happened that sent a massive shockwave, literally, through the entire tech world. We're talking about two absolute titans of computing burying the hatchet after decades and deciding to build the future together.
I mean, think about it. For as long as most of us can remember, Intel and NVIDIA have been at each other's throats. It was always Intel for CPUs, NVIDIA for GPUs. Total rivals. So, seeing them team up? Wow. This is not just some run-of-the-mill business deal. This is a seismic shift in the tech landscape.
And yeah, this is way more than just a friendly handshake. NVIDIA is putting some serious skin in the game. We're talking a $5 billion investment in Intel. That's a huge vote of confidence, right? And you better believe the market noticed instantly.
Just look at that. Plus 33%. The second the news broke, Intel's stock shot up by a third. For a company as massive as Intel, a jump like that in one day, it's almost unheard of. It's wild.
And to really put that in perspective for you, this was Intel's best day on the stock market since 1987. Let that sink in. So you've got to be asking the same thing I am. Why? Why this and why now? What on earth is going on here?
Okay, so to get to the bottom of the why, we really need to dig into the who. Let's talk about these two companies. How did these giants, who seem to be on completely different tracks, end up meeting at this exact historic moment?
On one side, you've got Intel. For decades, they were the undisputed king of the castle, the OG of CPUs, the brains in almost every computer. And on the other side, you've got NVIDIA, the upstart, the disruptor. They mastered GPUs, the powerhouse for graphics, and then they rode that wave straight into the heart of the AI revolution. So this table really tells the tale, right? At a glance, you see Intel's revenue, and it's massive, way bigger than NVIDIA's. But then you look at the margins. That's the real story. NVIDIA is just insanely profitable. They turn way more of every dollar they make into actual cash in the bank. So you've got one company with huge scale and another that's a profit machine. Totally different stories.
And this chart, wow, this chart says it all. You can literally see their paths diverging. That purple line, that's Intel's cash flow and is taking a nosedive. But look at NVIDIA's orange line, just a steady climb up and to the right. This one picture perfectly captures the pressure Intel was feeling and the incredible position of power NVIDIA was in. You can see why both of them are ready to make a big move.
So how did this all happen? To really get it, we've got to look at NVIDIA's playbook, because this deal wasn't just some spur-of-the-moment thing. Not at all. For NVIDIA, this is the final piece of a puzzle they've been putting together for decades.
And at the core of their strategy is this idea from their CEO, Jensen Huang. He calls it intelligence manufacturing. Think about that. The idea is that data centers aren't just for storing your photos anymore. They're becoming AI factories. You feed them data as the raw material, and what comes out on the other side? Intelligence. It's a massive idea that completely changes how you think about computing.
So how'd they pull it off? Well, it all started with a brilliant and kind of sneaky insight about video games. Jensen Huang realized that games were the perfect storm. On one hand, they were one of the hardest computing problems to solve. But on the other hand, everybody wanted to play them. So video games became their killer app. It was a massive market that could fund all the crazy expensive research and development they needed to tackle even bigger problems down the road. And that one idea kicked off this incredible 25-year journey. Step 1, dominate gaming GPUs, mastering how to do a million things at once. Step 2, make those GPUs flexible so they weren't just for graphics. But the real game changer, the linchpin, was CUDA. That was the software key that unlocked the raw power of the GPU for anything. Each step was a deliberate move, a building block, all leading to this one ultimate goal, the AI factories that are, well, changing everything.
All right, so that's NVIDIA's side, a masterclass in long-term strategy. But what about Intel? Why were they at the table? Let's flip the script and look at the intense pressure that pushed them towards this deal.
Intel was, to put it mildly, at a crossroads. They were making some really tough, aggressive moves. We're talking about axing huge billion-dollar factory projects. The CEO, Lip-Bu Tan, even put a new rule in place. He had to personally approve every single major chip design. I mean, this is a company in the middle of a massive, high-stakes turnaround, and they also had the backing of the US government. The pressure was on.
So for Intel, this deal was all about playing to their strengths. Their CEO basically said, look, we're the best at manufacturing at scale, we have the platforms, and NVIDIA is the king of AI. It's a perfect match. What they have complements what NVIDIA has. It's a classic case of 1 + 1 = 3.
And you have to remember, this isn't all happening in a bubble. The whole chip industry is in this weird spot right now. On one hand, you've got AI, this massive once-in-a-generation growth opportunity. But on the other hand, you've got huge risks, not enough skilled people, geopolitical tensions. It's a minefield. So what do? You team up. You form these powerful alliances to weather the storm and grab the opportunity.
Okay, so that's the backstory, which brings us to the big question, the million-dollar question, or I guess the billion-dollar question. What does this all mean? What are they actually going to build together? Well, the goal has this cool code name floating around, x86-RTX. Now, what does that actually mean? In simple terms, it's about mashing up the best of both worlds, taking NVIDIA's incredible AI smarts and weaving it directly into Intel CPUs, the x86 brains that have been in our PCs forever. If they pull this off, it could completely change the game for everything from giant data centers all the way down to the laptop you're using right now.
But let's pull back for a minute and look at the big picture. This chart shows the stock market all the way back to the 1870s. And you see that insane spike at the end? That was the dot-com boom. A lot of people are looking at the AI boom right now and saying, hey, this feels familiar. It feels like another one of those historic, tech-driven surges that just completely rewrites the rules.
But there's always a but, right? Here's the other side of the coin. This chart shows a key metric for how expensive the market is. And look at those peaks, 1929, right before the crash, and 2000, the absolute top of the dot-com bubble. Guess where we are today? Yep, right up there in that same stratosphere. It's what Alan Greenspan once called irrational exuberance, and it's a warning sign you just can't ignore.
So that leaves us with the ultimate cliffhanger. This whole NVIDIA-Intel partnership, it's a massive bet on an AI-powered future, no doubt about it. But is it the bedrock for the next 50 years of technology? Or is it two giants shaking hands at the top of the mountain just moments before an avalanche? Have they built the future, or are we just watching the peak of a spectacular bubble? That's the question we're all left with. And honestly, only time is going to tell.
So the billion-dollar question remains. Is this partnership the bedrock for the next 50 years of technology? Or are we just watching two giants shake hands at the very peak of the mountain? Have Intel and NVIDIA built the foundation for the next tech era, or the peak of a bubble about to burst?